Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining. My name is Brian Barsoon. So over the weekend, I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw some posts and videos about the term wrap-up smear. I had never heard of this term, so I was interested to look into it. And after doing some cursory research, found some interesting insights that I wanted to share with you and how it all ties together with the upcoming 2022 U.S. midterm elections and how it pertains to Trump in particular. Obviously, last week, everyone knows about the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. So I just wanted to go into depth about what the term wrap-up smear is and how it ties into everything that's going on. So first, I just wanted to go with the definition of Merriam-Webster for the word smear. So the definition out of these that are most prevalent is a usually unsubstantiated charge or accusation against a person or organization, often used attributively. And some of the terms they give: a smear campaign or a smear job. There's also a verb definition, which like here says to vilify, especially by secretly and maliciously spreading grave charges and imputations. So now that we know what the definition of smear is, I'd like to go ahead and play a clip from June of 2017 where Nancy Pelosi was at a press conference and she went on to explain the definition of what a wrap-up smear is. I'll go ahead and play the clip now.
So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
So apparently to House Speaker Pelosi, it's something that's demonizing, it involves merchandising, and is self-evident. But the main word and takeaway I took away from that was the term merchandising. If we can turn to this article here from MSNBC, it's referring to Hillary Clinton. So I just want to highlight this part here. One person who's gotten in on the joke is Hillary Clinton, who promoted some merchandise Tuesday that mocked Trump's hypocrisy in light of the search. In a tweet, Clinton advertised hats embroidered with "but her emails," a reference to Republicans who claimed her use of a private email server to exchange classified information, while Secretary of State should disqualify her from being president and even land her in jail. And just so you can see what I'm talking about, here's the page for her website, onwardtogether.org, which is promoting the "but her emails" hat. You can get it in black, charcoal, and navy, $30. A lot for a hat, but sure, if you can afford it. And also you can see "but her emails" pins, stickers, shirts, mugs, it goes on and on. I'm sure they'll be increasing that as we go on. So with all that explained, you're probably wondering how this all pertains to the upcoming 2022 midterms and with Trump and the raid and how it all ties together. So first we have to backtrack a little bit. So I have this article here from Business Insider from June 18th. It states Democrats are running ads to help far-right election-denying candidates win primaries and hopes they'll be easier to beat in the general election. So their goal is to put millions of dollars into these far-right MAGA candidates in the primaries, have them beat the quote-unquote standard or rhino Republicans or just your regular Republicans. They would rather have these MAGA candidates in because the Democrats feel they have a better chance of winning against the quote-unquote MAGA candidates. So they've been putting millions of dollars in. I'm sure you've been seeing, if you've been paying attention to the news, there's been several candidates that have won, including Kari Lake, Blake Masters, a bunch from Michigan. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a number of Trump's endorsed MAGA candidates have been winning. So step one in their plan seems to be going well. They've funded all these candidates to win. They're winning, so now they're going to go up against them in November. So now that part one is mostly complete, they moved on to part two, which I believe was the raid on Mar-a-Lago with Trump. Now this is my opinion, of course, conjecture, so take that for what you will. But I believe the second part was to do the raid. Obviously, there's been a lot of misinformation as to what's going on. First, it was nuclear documents. Now it's the Espionage Act. But the main part was to smear Trump and to eventually indict him on criminal charges and have that all ready. And I think also if they can indict President former President Trump on that, then they can have all the candidates that they just funded for November. They can say, oh, you can't vote for that candidate. Oh, President Trump was indicted on charges. So are you going to vote for the candidate that likes Trump for the criminal, or are you going to vote for us, the Democrats? So I think that's the second part. And the third part, sort of. So the third part is where it's coming up in November and in October, what they like to call an October surprise. I've never heard of that term before late, but I guess it's a term where things happen very close to the election. I guess you could flash back to 2016 with the whole Trump-Russia thing, and then fast forward to 2020 with the Hunter Biden emails, things that pop up close to the election that can cause controversy and all of that. And I think what they're doing is if they can have charges on Trump, then they can run a bunch of political ads, and that's step 3. So I thought that was going to happen in October, but I'll show this article coming up right here in just a moment from CNN. So this was an article from CNN Politics. This was a couple of days ago. I believe it was on this past Thursday, the 11th. The headline states, more than half of GOP governor nominees have questioned or denied the legitimacy of the 2020 election. And you can see Kari Lake and some others as well. So in the article, they go on to talk about the Republican nominee in at least 20 of this year's 36 gubernatorial races, someone who has rejected, declined to affirm, raised doubts about, or tried to overturn Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election. So it's very interesting that I thought it was going to be in October, but it looks like they're already starting with it now. They want to plant the seeds and just let people know that all these candidates that they funded, they're too extreme, and you have to vote for the Democrats now. So you can start to see the pieces coming together for this. So I just wanted to highlight one other part. So regardless, the presence of a large number of 2020 deniers, deceivers, and skeptics on general election ballots in November raises the prospect of a crisis of democracy. So I think that's one of their talking points. They're going to say that this is a crisis of democracy. You can't have these quote-unquote Trump-backed MAGA candidates win, because if they win, it's going to be a huge crisis, and we're going to be in even more of a state of flux than we are already in now. By the way, we are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy, but a little aside there. And just keeps going on, talking about the different candidates. But this was back on the 11th, so a couple days ago. So overall, just to summarize, it's a multi-step process, what I believe is occurring. There's 3 steps that I laid out that I think is leading towards the 2022 midterms. Please comment down below what you think of everything. If you agree, disagree, let me know. I'd really like your feedback. You can find me on Twitter at Brian_Barsoon and on Rumble at BB_news. And I just wanted to leave you guys with this funny clip. It's from Chappelle's show. I don't think it's really prevalent to what's going on, but I said the word rap so many times and I saw this clip, I just had to play it. Enjoy and take care, guys.
Young man, you've been found guilty by a jury of your peers. The crime you've committed was very serious. And before I sentence you, I'd like to say a few words about your arrest record. What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, B.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Man, you want some too? You better wrap it up. You better wrap that gavel up, B.